Take a look at what's happening in Bengal. Former Governor Jagdeep Dhankar, his successor Ananda Bose, the Trinamool Congress is in constant tussle with them. You have VK Saxena versus Arvind Kejriwal here in Delhi, the LG. Then you've got Arif Mohammad Khan, who's locking horns with the Pinarayi Vijayan government. And therefore, it is across the country at the moment that you have various constitutional functionaries, governors, LGs, who are in tussles. Tamil Soundarajan in Telangana as well. Let's take that now to our next guest. And joining me now is another special guest. I'm joined by the Trinamool Congress's firebrand Lok Sabha MP, Mahua Moitra. Appreciate you joining us, Mahua Moitra. It's not just, as we are showing, Tamil Nadu, where governors are in the crosshairs of political parties, but across this country, including in your home state of West Bengal, governor versus the political leadership, particularly of many opposition-ruled states like yours. Who's to blame? The governor or political parties that simply don't want to be shown the mirror?
If the governor was exercising his powers as a constitutional head and acting as a neutral arbiter, then I think it would be very different. The question now is, we've actually seen this decline in the last 20 years, but it has been rather acute under the BJP government, where governors have become pure political appointees. And they feel no need to even gain a semblance of neutrality. That's what the problem has been. There's been a complete lack of breakdown, complete lack of trust between opposition. I remember when Gopal Krishna Gandhi was a governor of Bengal, and the chief minister would go and actually look to him like a savior, like a father figure, and would get advice. That kind of bonding, or that kind of advice that you get from a father figure, constitutional head, has completely broken down.
But Mahua Moitra, with due regard, if a political party is seen to violate constitutional norms, if, for example, as we saw in Tamil Nadu, an arrested minister is not removed by the chief minister, or in Bengal, where you are, political violence takes place during panchayat elections, is the governor not supposed to say, I'm worried about the situation in the state? Is he not supposed to call up the chief minister?
There's nothing wrong with the governor calling up when there's violence, but there is something wrong with the governor sitting in the Raj Bhavan and having BJP functionaries come in and tell him everything, and then he just takes and reads the paper which the BJP functionary has given him. There's a problem with that. There's nothing wrong with the governor showing a mirror, but there is a problem with the governor acting as a mouthpiece of the ruling party at the center, and for the Raj Bhavans to function as BJP shakhas all over India. There's a definite problem with that. For example, if the minister has been arrested, then why? Look, arrest is not proof of guilt. Arrest is not proof of guilt. There is due process of law. So why there is due process law? He's been stripped of his portfolio. So, I mean, I'm sure Mr. Stalin and the DMK have been in power and long enough to know what due process of law is. So where does, I mean, is it
that there are some, but tell me, Mahua Moitra, Naveen Patnaik doesn't seem to have a problem with his governor. We never hear of it. At least Jagan Mohan Reddy doesn't seem to have a problem. It only seems to be states, where chief ministers are in direct confrontation with the center.
That's exactly the point. The chief minister, the Naveen Patnaik is kind of like sitting on the fence. Naveen Patnaik is a person who is perfectly willing to coexist with the BJP at the center and with the BJP in the state. The same with Jagan Reddy. He is perfectly willing to coexist with the YSR in the state and the BJP, for any other chief minister and any other opposition party who doesn't accept this balance, who is fighting the BJP tooth and nail. The governor becomes a tool in the hands of the BJP to say tight karo. Governor, isko bithao wahan pe tight karo. That's exactly what the BJP is doing, and that's what.
When I interviewed the Bengal governor last week, he said it's not about tight karo. I am ensuring that I want a violence-free election. It's my role as governor to be the guardian of the constitution.
There's nothing wrong with that. We've not had a problem with that. There's nothing wrong with. But the violence has to be, I mean, you can't get only one-sided views of the violence. Like if you think of our last governor, who went on to become vice president in the 2021 elections, I mean, you would think Bengal was like the seat of carnage. It was like the rape capital, the murder capital. Well, what happened in the last 2 years? How many cases have come to court? How many cases of rape and murder have the BJP actually been able to prove after 2021? If you were to hear the then governor, you would think that all the Trinamool Congress were doing was raping and burning people day and night. So there's element of neutrality that a constitutional head is supposed to have that has completely gone out with the BJP political appointees, and that's what...
Let's be honest, ma'am, with due regard, even when the Congress was in power, particularly in Indira Gandhi's years, governors were appointed as political agents who even would dismiss any opposition chief ministers and governments. The question therefore is, do we really need Raj Bhavans? If Raj Bhavans, whether in the 1970s or in the 21st century, are being used to serve political ends, then do away with it.
Rajdeep, that's actually a question that this country and Parliament need to sit down and do. Our Constitution allows for it. I mean, do we need a president? When we read the President's address, we debate the President's address in Parliament, but does the President really write that address? That address is given, as a President's address or a Governor's address, is given by the ruling party to the President or to the Governor, who basically reads it out. So, I think that's a much wider debate. The time has come for this country to actually sit down and have that debate.
So
I agree with you.
So you're saying you're in favor of a wider debate on the entire relevance of governors, because governors were appointed to ensure that they were effectively ensuring some kind of a compact between centre and state. You're saying that's broken down?
That's complete. And now, in fact, federalism is broken down because of the presence of a governor, rather than the other way around. I think governors were there as sort of a binding factor between the centre and the state, and to help the two work together in the spirit of federalism. What's happened now is that the governor has become a tool for the centre to sit and make life miserable for elected governments in opposition-ruled states.
Okay.
And that is something that needs to be dealt with I think in the wider spirit of debate.
Okay, let me leave it there, Mahua Moitra. I appreciate your joining us, because this debate really needs to be taken forward. Do we really need governors at the moment in the country? Thanks very much for joining us.